So here we are in a rainforest patch at East Point near Darwin. And this is the type of rainforest patch that Wallace would have encountered in the Malay Archipelago, particularly in the eastern part of the archipelago, because this is a seasonal monsoon forest. A lot of the plants are deciduous and they drop their leaves in the dry season. It's a response to very dry conditions. And it's also interesting because even though we're in northern Australia, it has a lot of what we call the Milesian types of plants, the floral elements. So these are species and genera that have come from Southeast Asia and have made their way down into northern Australia. So we will look at some of the examples of that this week, including things like the beech forests, so forests that grow above the beach, and also mangrove forests. And these are things that have special structures, special types of seeds and so on, so that they can disperse easily. So these are the ones that are spread widely. But also this week we want to talk about some of the animals. And we have an example here of the mound of a megapode, of a scrub fowl. So the whole group, the megapodes, are peculiar in that they're mound nesters. So what they do is they create a mound of vegetation and soil, and they actually lay their eggs, and their eggs are incubated inside the mound. So this has been pushed up over years. Some of these mounds are years and years old. It's been pushed up from all around here into this mound, and particularly in the wet season it gets very wet, it gets nice and moist in there, and it gets very hot. So they dig in there, they lay their eggs, and they will actually come back periodically to test the temperature of the mound to make sure it's the right temperature. So in Australia we have an example. We have the mallee fowl, we have the scrub fowl, the orange-footed scrub fowl, which we get here in Darwin, and we also have the brush turkeys, and these are all examples of megapodes. And several of these have managed to get up into Asia. So they're an example of a Gondwanan group that would have come with Australia as Australia drifted north after it separated from Antarctica around about 45 million years ago, pushed up north and then collided with Southeast Asia. And so now there are species in New Guinea, on the Aru Islands, which is where Wallace encountered the Megapodius, as he called it there, which does basically the same thing, and also some of the other islands, and one that pushes up as far as the Philippines. So a very unique way of breeding and producing, reproducing. And then the young hatch straight out of the eggs, and then they dig their way out and off they go. There's no real parental care in the megapodes, which is also another unusual feature for birds. So this week we will look at Wallace and his adventures in the Malay Archipelago. He was a little bit of an adventurous chap, having come back from the Amazon and having had all his collections disappear in a boat which was coming back and that basically burnt down. He decided that he was never going to travel again, but after being in London for a little while he decided that no, he needed to go somewhere else. And where better than the very ends of the earth, the Malay Archipelago, where very few Europeans had been, but where he knew there would be an array of new species unknown to science, a great variety of species, a tropical environment, and where he could continue his collecting and continue his investigations. And already at this stage Wallace was thinking about the species question, and he thought it would be useful to have particular groups to study while he was there. So he managed to get on a ship finally, and off he went to the Malay Archipelago, where he would actually spend 8 years, so quite a long time.